let's explore the WebLogic Remote Console UI. Um, the first time it starts up, there is a startup task pop-up that you get, which will help you create new providers and so on. For this demo, I'll just click on cancel because I want to explain what is a project and a provider before we go into it. So the icon here on the right, this is called as a provider draw. Okay. And WebLogic Remote Console supports different kind of providers. The first one here is an admin server connection provider. Now, what it means is you can use this provider to connect to a running WebLogic admin server on any domain. It can be local or it can be remote, or it can also be on a Kubernetes environment or on your cloud and so on. So this can basically connect to any admin server, running admin server on any domain. So this you just need to give a name for this. You need the username and password for the WebLogic server, and then you need the connection URL, and that's it. So you should be able to connect to it. So this is one kind of provider that is supported by the WebLogic Remote Console. Now there are other providers like WDT model file provider, composite model file provider, and property list provider, and so on. Right? We will talk about all these different kinds of providers later. Um, Now, there is something here which is called as a project. Now, project is like a parent directory. Okay. Now, if you want a real world scenario, then this is something like a test environment project. Now, in your test environment, you may have around, say, 5 domains with 5 admin servers, right? So you can create 5 providers inside a project called as test environment. Now you can have another project, say production environment, where you may have around 10 domains and you want to connect to those 10 domains and you can all list it under the production project. Now, once the project is created, you have created providers inside it, you can import or export the project so that you can share it with others, right? Now, say you and your colleague are working on a test environment, and you don't have to individually give all the connection URLs, username, password, and so on. All you have to do is just create a project, put all the 5 providers here, and then you can export the project and you can import it in another WebLogic Remote Console tool. Right now it says unnamed project. So first, let's see how to create a new project. So let's say new project under the file, and then we say test environment. Okay. So after you make any changes to the project, you need a restart of the WebLogic Remote Console tool itself. So let me quickly close this and open it again. Okay. So now you will still get a pop-up because you don't have any providers created yet. Okay, let me click on cancel. Now there is a project called test environment, which is already created here. So if you want to rename that project, you can do that. If you want to delete or if you want to create another project, and once you have more than one project, you can actually switch between the projects and so on, right? So the project is created. Let me go ahead and create a provider. Now I'll call this local and let me give the WebLogic username and password. And because it's a local machine, I'll just try to run this over here. Now, before that, I need to check if my server is running or it's not. So let me quickly start it up. Okay, it's assuming it should start soon. Let me just see if I'm able to connect. It's still trying to start. Okay, it's running now. So let me try to connect to it. So once you successfully connect to a WebLogic domain, you will see a number of trees listed here based on what role the user has. Now, in my case, it was a WebLogic user with an admin role. So he is able to pull all the trees. So these are called trees, perspectives, views, and so on. So there are basically four. One is the edit tree, config view tree, monitoring tree, security data tree, right? And this is a provider draw. And then under this test environment project, you have one provider, which is called as a local. Now, to see what is the, I mean, to get more information about this local provider, you can click on this icon here. And then it says that the domain name is this, and this is the URL you're connected to. And there's something called as WebLogic extension version, which is 2411. And then you have a domain version of 1411. This is a WebLogic user, and the role of this user is admin. Okay. So, okay. And then if you want to change something, if you want to maybe change the user that is trying to log in, then you can do it here. And then this is to disconnect from the provider. And then you click back and you connect. And you can actually delete this provider and create another one and so on. All right. So I think we are good with the providers draw. Now let's have a look at the nav strip. Now this is a nav strip. Um, so let me just click on one of these perspectives. Okay. Now here, this is how you toggle across the nav strip. And once you do toggle this, you have a nav tree wherein this is nothing but a tree structure. So in environment servers, you can just go drill deeper into each one of these options. And this provides like a tree kind of a structure, right? So this is the navigation tree. And this is the content plane wherein you can edit the properties of a provider or and so on, right? Right, so let's click on home and come back to the main page. Okay. Now there is, okay, so we saw projects, delete project, rename, and so on. There is settings here, wherein you can give a proxy details for your WebLogic remote console to connect to internet and so on. Now, remember that all these options that you see here is for the WebLogic remote console tool itself. This has nothing to do with the settings of the WebLogic domain you're trying to connect to, right? So this role checking and the Java properties that you can supply here, but this is a property that you will supply for the tool itself and not to any WebLogic server. Okay, so those are the settings, and then there's preferences. And you can say you want to store the credentials or not and give alerts. Okay. Edit and view, I don't think there is anything much here. So you can ignore that. Help is okay. And this is where you check the version and then you can download and install the latest version of the tool. Now, I'll have a separate session to show you this upgrade. So I'll just leave it for now. All right, so looks good. And there is this option here, which talks about all the different user tips, which are very helpful. Now let me go into one of the perspectives. Now there is an edit tree. This is one of the perspectives. Now you have a search option here. And then this is like the shopping cart here. This is similar to the activate changes button that you had in the traditional WebLogic console. So here, any change you make will go to the cart, and you can either discard the change or you can commit the change, right? You can also view what changes are there currently, which have to be committed or discarded. Okay, and then there is this option here, which is for the history. So if you do any searches or if you have navigated across somewhere, then it will tell you what all you have done till now. So you can just go there. And this is again the provider tree, so you can ignore that. Yeah. All right. So I'll talk about the perspectives in a short while, but there is the search option that I want to show you. Now, say you want to check something about a cluster. Okay, so you can just type cluster in the search bar and hit enter, and you will get information about all the clusters that you have, right? So cluster template. So this is a very easy way to move across your the remote console, move across your domain. So this makes it much faster for you to navigate across the entire WebLogic configuration when compared to your traditional WebLogic admin console, right? Now let's try another one. Say you want to search for service. Okay, so these are the servers that I have. So there is a JMS server, there is a normal server, there are two managed servers, there is admin here, yeah. So yeah, this is what it does. So you can quickly navigate across the different options here. Let me talk about perspectives. So there are mainly four types of perspectives. One is the edit tree. If you want to make any changes to the WebLogic console configuration, you want to edit some changes, you go to the edit tree. Now, just because you edit it, it is not committed, right? For example, I'll go to environment, servers. I'll try to create a new server. I'll call this test server. Okay, create. Now, I've created a server here, and you can see here the shopping cart is full, right? So here you can view changes and you can see what changes it. It's a test server that you have created. Okay. So now you have an option of either committing this change or discarding the change. Now let me go back to the home screen again. So we were in the edit tree, we made some change, but I forgot to activate the change or to commit that particular change in the shopping cart. Now there is a tree called as config view tree. Config view tree is nothing but a tree which will show you the existing committed configuration changes. So when I go here, when I go to environment, servers, right, I don't see that test server here, right? Because I've still not committed it and it's not something that is there in actual configuration of the WebLogic domain. So that is what you see here. Now there is another one called as a monitoring tree. Now, if you want to see the status of a server or if you want to see any monitoring related information about anything, then this is where you go. So in this tree, I will see that there is an admin server which is running and all other managed servers which are down, right? And the test server is still not here because it is not committed. So this is monitoring tree. And there is another tree called a security data tree. We will talk about it in the coming slides and in the coming session. Yeah. All right, so let's go back to edit tree and let me commit this change. Okay, so commit was successful and you see that the shopping cart is empty now. Let's go to home. Let's go to configuration view tree and let's see the list of servers here. Oh yeah, here we have this test server. Now it is not part of any cluster, it's not part of any machine. But then how will you check the status of this test server? Is it running or not? You go back to home, go to monitoring tree, and this is where you see if the server is actually running or not. What is the status of the server, right? So this is how you have to move around different trees and perspectives. Now, I know it looked a little difficult to move around or do multiple clicks each and every time. So for this, what we have done is have a look at this search bar option. When you go to a tree and search for servers, you will see all the servers which are listed. Okay. Now, this search bar is specific to one particular tree. What I mean to say is, if I go to config view tree and if I search for servers here, the output will be different, right? So it tells you the type of the server and the path and so on. Now, if I try the same thing on a monitoring tree and if I search for service, right, it will tell you the type, path, and the status, right? Okay, security data, I'll leave this for now. We will have a look at it later. Now, let me try another option called cluster. I'm in the monitoring tree for cluster, and yeah, this is the state of it. Okay. All right. So this is one way wherein you can easily navigate across different options when you're inside a particular tree. Now, there is another option which is called as breadcrumb. So let me talk about that. Now, say for example, you are looking at information about the admin server. So this is where you make the changes. This is the edit tree, right? Now, if you want to go to the config view tree, there is this option here, a drop down here. You click on this and you will go to the config view perspective and you will go to the exact admin server option. You can also go to the monitoring tree, right? See here, you're actually switching to different trees and this is very easy. because you have a breadcrumb here. You just select what you want, and then you can switch across different perspectives. I hope you got this. Um, all right. So this is it. And let me dig a little about the monitoring tree here. So in the monitoring tree, you can actually see the status of service, right? Now there's a new icon here, which is called as a dashboard. Now, when you click on this, these are few pre-built dashboards that is provided by the tool itself. Now, there is one dashboard created for server states. Now, when you click on this, there is a customized view of how the of which will show you the different states of a server. Similarly, you will have another option there to see the list of destinations. Let me go back here. Yeah, JMS destinations. You click on this, you will see the different kinds of JMS destinations that you have created. Application runtime data dashboard, which is here, the logs and archives, the node manager logs, and so on. Because this is a dashboard which will show you the states of the different, so say for example, this dashboard here. Now this will tell you the state of different servers which are there. Um, and this has to keep refreshing every now and then, right? So there is an option here wherein you click on this and then it'll keep refreshing the status so that if it is shut down now and if it comes up later, it'll get updated. Now there is one more option here wherein you can set an auto reload interval wherein after X seconds, it'll try to reload again and so on. Okay, so that's it on dashboards and the history tab, and the provider is okay. And then home. Yeah, so that's it. I think we are good. So we have a basic understanding of how the UI looks and how you have to navigate across the different options. And you know that there are four perspectives, four trees here, right? And you click on each tree, and there is a specific task that each of these trees do. For example, this is where you edit, this is where you view the current committed changes, this is where you monitor anything, and this we will talk about later. Okay. All right. So that's it for now. Thank you.